Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is April 4th. The Padres and Dodgers are still undefeated. We have plenty of more extensions, and Profar got popped. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially 1 week into the MLB season, and boy, do we have quite the bit of news to talk about in this one. So plenty of things on the agenda today. So why don't we just get things going and start talking about this week's series recap. Starting us off, we've got the Nationals taking on the Blue Jays in Toronto, and a series that Toronto needs to get. The rest of the April looks rough. They sweep the Nationals 5-2 in the first game, 5-3, and they finish it off 4-2. Nationals drop all three games. Pirates and Rays still at Steinbrenner. The Rays take the first two games of the series, 6-1 and 7-0 your finals. But of course, in the last game, it's Paul Skeens on the mound, and that would lead to a Pirates win, a 4-2 game. Rays take 2 of 3 in the series. D-backs and Yankees, two of the top three offenses in the league so far, and they came to play. The first game, a total of 5 combined home runs, plus a go-ahead grand slam from Eugenio Suarez. That's a 7-5 D-backs win. They come back once again with a 4-3 win in Game 2, but the Yankees get the last laugh in Game 3, 9-7 the final. They're at an MLB record 22 home runs in the first 6 games of the series. They drop the series, though, to the Diamondbacks 2-1, 2 games for the Diamondbacks, 1 for the Yankees in that series. Red Sox and Oilers. The Red Sox coming in a bit of a cold slump after dropping 3 against Texas. They lose the first game against Baltimore 8-5, but then finally in the 6th game, Rafael Devers gets his first hit. It's an RBI double. That would help the Red Sox in the second game. They win it 3-0. And when it comes to the final game, the rubber match, it's Alex Bregman who hits his first home run as a Red Sox. Christian Campbell, the rookie, gets his second. 8-4. The Red Sox take the series 2 out of the 3. Moving on, we have the Twins and the White Sox. The Twins still looking for their first win. They should find it against the White Sox, but they don't in that first game. Andrew Vaughn home run. Andrew Benintendi his 100th career home run. And how about Michael A. Taylor getting his first as a White Sox? Martin Perez, 6 no-hit innings leading to a 9-0 White Sox win. Twins, what are we doing? I'll tell you what they're doing. They're coming back, and they're bouncing back in the second game. A 5-run, 6th inning comeback for the Twins. They get their first win on the season. They beat the White Sox 8-3, and they finish and win the series as well, 6-1 in Game 3. Buxton's first home run of the year. And how about Harrison Bader? He's got 3 on the year, hits his second of this series. So Twins take 2 of 3 from the White Sox. Tigers and Mariners. After a tough first series for Detroit, they come into Seattle and pounce 6 runs in the first inning. The Tigers get 18 hits in the game. They win their first game of the year, 9-6 Detroit. They come back with a 4-1 win, but Seattle, they won't go away with a sweep. They win the last game 3-2, but Detroit takes 2 of 3 from the Mariners. Giants and Astros. San Francisco comes to town to play, 7-2 in the first game, 3-1 in the second game. And then how about Wilmer Flores? He has 2 home runs in the series. He has 4 on the year already. He's looked good first week in the season. Giants win that game 6-3, and they sweep the Astros. Cubs and A's now. Welcome to Sutter Health Park, the new home of the A's. And they're representing Ricky Henderson on this first day here, and they got destroyed. 18-3. Carson Kelly, he gets a cycle in the game, a catcher cycle. How about it for Carson Kelly? There's 5 home runs in this game. Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, Carson Kelly, and Kyle Tucker for the Cubs, and then Jacob Wilson hits the first home run there for the A's. It didn't get better for the A's either. 7-4 Cubs and 10-2 Cubs in the series. Kyle Tucker, he homered in 4 straight games going back to the last series against Arizona. And how about Seiya Suzuki in this series? He had 4 home runs in this series. He homered in each of the 3 games, and then 2 in the last game. That was a 10-2 win there. The Cubs sweep the A's in their first series at Sutter Health. Still don't have a win. Mets and Marlins, the 10-4 in the first game. The Mets had 4 home runs as well as an Alonso grand slam. The Marlins bounced back in game 2. They take that game with a score of 4-2. And in the final game, the rubber match ended up in the 11th inning after Pete Alonso hits a 3-run game-tying home run in the 8th. The Mets scored 2 in the 11th to Miami's 1, and they win that game 6-5 and take the series 2 out of 3. Rockies and Phillies. Max Kepler and Nicholas Castellanos go back-to-back later in this one. Both of them hitting their first home runs of the year. For Kepler, it's his first as a Philly. They win that one 6-1. They take the second game 5-1. And they win the third game 3-1. Schwarber, 2 home runs in the series. Hunter Goodman for the Rockies. He had 2 home runs in the series, 2 solo shots because the Rockies only scored 3 runs in those 3 games. Phillies sweep the series against Colorado. Rangers and the Reds. The Reds offense on attack in this first game, and maybe not for the best when we go forward here. 14-3 Reds. Elly De La Cruz uses a torpedo bat for the first time, and he goes 4 for 5 with 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 4 runs. Talk about a game. But after that offensive explosion from Cincinnati, it's looked bad since. The next 2 games, 1-0 wins for Rangers, both games 2 and 3. Nathan Eovaldi, a complete game shutout with only 4 hits in that second game. Rangers take this series 2 out of the 3 against the Reds, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Angels and Cardinals, the first 2 games both go into extras. In the 10th inning, it's a 5-4 Angels win, and then in game 2, it goes to the 11th inning after both teams score 3 in the 10th. So the Angels decided to score 3 again in the 11th. Cardinals can only muster up 1 run that time. They win that game 9-7, but that is not how the Cardinals will go down. They will come back swinging in game 3. Trout had a home run, his first home run on the year. In the 7th inning, Logan O'Hoppe for the Angels, go-ahead grand slam. It was looking bleak for the Cardinals, but how about Ivan Herrera? Not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs in this game, including 1 in the 8th inning as the Cardinals came back with 7 runs in the inning. They come back and beat the Angels 12-5. Angels, though, look good early on here. They take 2 of 3 from the Cardinals. Royals and Brewers. This first game was all Kansas City. They had a 6-run 7th inning, and they ended up beating the Brewers 11-1. But the Brewers will finally get off the schneid. They get their first win on their season. Yelich and Eric Haas hit home runs for the Brewers. They win it 5-0. And for the match, we head to the 11th inning after both score a run in the 10th inning. The Brewers walk it off on a Bryce Terang bunt single. That's how they get their second win of the year. And they take the series against the Royals 3-2, the final in that game. Braves and Dodgers. Now the Dodgers, oh boy, who are going to beat the Dodgers? 6-1 in the first game. Both Kike Hernandez and Teoscar Hernandez hit home runs. Then in the second game, it's a 3-1 Dodgers win. Mookie Betts, he gets a home run there. And for the final game, it's a Shohei Ohtani bobble night. The Braves are up 5-0 though, but how about the Dodgers to come back? Tommy Edman a home run, Conforto a home run, and who else but on his bobble night, Shohei Ohtani hits the walk-off home run. Dodgers score 6 unanswered from 5-0 down to 6-5 with the walk-off Ohtani blam. 6-5 Dodgers, they sweep the Braves. One team undefeated, one team winless. Lastly, we've got the Guardians and the Padres. Padres doing everything they can to stick with the Dodgers. They do it here against the Guardians. 7-2 in the first game, 7-0 in the second game, and 5-2 in the finale. Jackson Merrill, he gets 2 home runs in the series, his first 2 home runs of the year. And about Luis Arraez, known power hitter, getting a swing and a drive into one of them. He gets his first home run on the year. Padres sweep the Guardians. They are still undefeated. All right, now, so with that out of the way, let's jump into the game of the week here. We're heading to LA, the Dodgers and the Braves. The Braves still looking for their first win. They get off to a nice start. Brian De La Cruz reaches on a throwing error that scores a run for the Braves. Hey, you got to take him any way you can get him. And then Nick Allen, he doubles in a run. So 2-0 Braves after one. Then how about Ozzie Albies in the top of the second? He doubles in a run. And then Matt Olson, a 2-run double. 5-0 Atlanta. Things are looking good. Bottom of the second, it's Tommy Edman, a 2-run home run, his fourth of the year. That puts LA back within 3. Bottom 4, 2 innings later, Michael Conforto hitting his first as a Dodger. 5-3. It's getting up there a little closer and closer. Then to the bottom of the 8th, you're 2 innings away, but it's Max Muncy who gets a 2-run double. Hey, guess what? We are tied. In case you missed it, plenty of Dodger fans lined up early to get Shohei's bobble night, his bobblehead. And with that being said, that sets the stage for the bottom of the 9th, where Shohei Ohtani himself does it. His 3rd home run on the year. Fly ball to deep center. And gone. The Dodgers come back from a 5-run deficit, 6 unanswered. They win it 6-5. They're 8-0 on the year. Braves 0-7. Just yikes there from Atlanta. That is your game of the week. And we're on the topic of the Dodgers anyway, so let's talk about these Dodgers and these Padres and this win streak. Because to be honest with you, it is kind of crazy, to say the least, that both these two teams are on these kinds of win streaks. You think the Dodgers, 8-0, they're right there. The Padres are half a game out because they are doing everything they can to stay within the reach of the Dodgers, and they're combined 8-0. It's very impressive, if I'm being honest. I have never seen anything like this, and to be honest, it's probably, most of you haven't either. The last time two teams had at least 7 win streaks to start the season was 2003. So I would have been 0 years old. The Royals 9-0, and the Giants were 7-0. That was the last time it happened. This is the 5th time it's happened in MLB, where we have two teams starting the season with at least 7-game win streaks. So in 2003, we mentioned that. 1982, the Braves were 13-0, and the White Sox were 8-0. In 1962, the Pirates were 10-0, and the Cardinals were 7-0. And then all the way back before the expansion era, all the way in 1884, the St. Louis Maroons started 20-0, while the New York Gothams started 12-0. Did not know either of those teams, but this is the 5th time that we've had two teams start at least 7-0. Of course, we've mentioned 7-0 and 8-0 on the year so far for the Dodgers and the Padres. Padres are heading to a series with the Cubs, and the Dodgers head to one against the Phillies. So, they both played the Braves. Dodgers had a series against the Cubs and Tigers as well, and then the Padres had that series, Braves and now the Guardians. So, it's not like those teams are pushovers. Those are playoff teams, that they're doing it against Atlanta. I mean, that was my pick for the 2025 World Series here. We'll be talking about Atlanta a little bit later on here. Let's dive into, pretty impressive stuff from the Dodgers and the Padres. Let's dive into the extensions. We had a couple more extensions. By me, a pretty decent handful of extensions here. So I got to list these off here. So starting things off, the Red Sox made 2 extensions. They lock up Garrett Crochet, the guy they traded for this offseason. He locks up for a 6-year deal worth $170 million. He's going to be that ace of that staff going forward there. And they also lock up the rookie, Christian Campbell, my pick for Rookie of the Year, who's had a pretty nice start to the season. He is signing an 8-year deal worth $60 million. So the Red Sox have their guy going forward here. If we take a look at Christian Campbell so far this season, of course, 7 games. He's got 10 hits. He has 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 walks. He's got a .417 batting average and a .133 OPS. It's been a very impressive start to the season. And I mean, he's just a kid still. So, I mean, you lock up, for 60 mil for the next 8 years. You don't have to worry about contract stuff. You don't have to worry about anything. You can just be a good hitter, be a guy, and, be that guy for the Red Sox. And then, 8 years down the line, when you get to, a chance to sign a bigger deal, if you become a superstar, you can either find a nicer deal with the Red Sox and make some more money there and stay with them for the rest of your career, or you can go and get your bag elsewhere. But at least now, you got 8 years to just kind of be in the league. And hey, you know what? If this is a hot start and then maybe just falls off the face of the earth, we've seen it happen before. I would hate for it to happen, but it's happened. So, at least that way you still lock up 60 mil. But yeah, and then for Garrett Crochet on the other end here, lefty dominance, we've seen how good he was, when he first debuted in 2020. He played 5 games the year he was drafted, and he struck out 8 batters. And then, we see it in 2021, 2022, he was hurt, didn't play. Then 2023 was like, okay, a little bit, whatever. And then last year, he makes the move from bullpen to starter. He makes his first start in the big leagues. He had a pretty nice season when you take away some of the numbers. I know his record would say 6-12, but remember, the White Sox lost 121 games. He made all 32 starts, a 3.58 ERA, and I mean, 209 strikeouts in 146 innings pitched. He was an all-star. He was great. Gets traded to Boston. And so far in the young season, he's made 2 starts, 13 innings, 9 hits, only 2 runs. He already has 12 strikeouts. He's 1-0 and a 1.38 ERA. So I think a very good player, only at 26 years old as well. So he's going to be around and doing his stuff for a long time. So those are 2 extensions. We had 2 other ones, one being Ketel Marte and the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're getting ink 6 years, $116.5 million extension, as well as a player option for 2031. Of course, Marte first started his career with Seattle, only played 2 seasons there, but then since then has been with Arizona since 2017. And he's had 2 crazy seasons, and outside of those 2 crazy seasons, he's still been an all-right ball player. 2019, he was an all-star and finished 4th in MVP, and of course last year was an all-star, finished 3rd in MVP, and got himself a Silver Slugger. So far this year, at the age of 31, he's played 7 games. He's got 8 hits, a couple doubles, hasn't gotten a home run yet, 1 RBI, a .320 batting average, and an .852 OPS. It's a nice start, not a slow start, but the home runs will come, the stolen bases will jump up a little bit, more hits, more RBIs. He's a great ball player. He's been with Arizona for 9 years already, or this is the 9th year he's going to be with Arizona. And guess what? He has 6, potentially 7 more if he exercises his player option come 2031. So he's going to have a lengthy career. When all said is done, and he's probably looking at 17 years in the big leagues, and 15 maybe with Arizona. So a very successful player, one of the best second basemen in the league right now. Heck, he was my MVP choice at the start of the season. So would love to see him get going here. But Ketel Marte, he inks up with Arizona. And the last extension that happened here, how about the Padres getting their 2nd place finisher in the Rookie of the Year last year? Jackson Merrill signs a 9-year deal, $135 million extension with the Padres. Of course, last year was just a phenomenal year. A Silver Slugger in his first year, 2nd in Rookie of the Year, 9th in MVP. He was an all-star, had 162 hits, an .826 OPS, 24 home runs. How about it? So far this year, we mentioned the 2 home runs that he got in the series against the Guardians. Hey, got that extension money, so he might as well pop a couple of home runs. He's got 10 hits on the young season, a .417 batting average, and a 1.153 OPS. So he's been picking up right where he left off, coming into his sophomore season here. And I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I love Paul Skeens to death. And he 100% did deserve the Rookie of the Year. I kind of wish we saw Paul Skeens this year, though, because I do think Jackson Merrill also deserve the Rookie of the Year. That sucks sometimes when you got two players who are extremely worthy of the Rookie of the Year, and then, 1 year you have a guy who like just happened to luck into it because no one else was really that like special. But both of these players are special. And how about Jackson Merrill getting special money here? 9 years, $135 million. He's going to be with the Padres for a long, long time. Speaking of guys with the Padres, they had a guy last year have an incredible season, and he's getting popped for PEDs. Jurickson Profar over the week here. He has been suspended 80 games by MLB for the use of PEDs, and that begs the question, hey, Mr. Fan Favorite, Mr. Likeable Guy, were you doing it last year where you had a career breakout year at the age of 31? He's been in the league since he was 19 years old in 2012. He's pretty much played every single year since, except for 14 and 15 when he was dealing with injuries. The numbers were never really there. He had a career a career high OPS at 793 back in 2018 with Texas. When it was on a stint with the Padres, he went to Colorado. He'd been with Oakland. Last year, though, Padres, he comes back and has his best season of his career, really since, 2022 with the Padres, I guess. 3.6 WAR. He had 24 home runs. Before that, his career high was 20, so he got an extra 4 there. He had 85 home runs. Before that was 77. He finished with an 839 OPS. Just the best season of his career. Silver Slugger, All-Star, finished 14th in MVP voting. So far this year, he had played 4 games. He had 3 hits, and he had a 450 OPS, 200 batting average. Still new team, still getting into it, but he ends up getting popped for PEDs here. I'm going to read his statement through the MLB Players Association. Braves fans, today is the most difficult day of my baseball career. I'm devastated to announce that I have been suspended for 80 games by Major League Baseball and the Commissioner's Office for testing positive for a banned substance this offseason. This is especially painful for me because anyone who knows me and has seen me play knows I'm deeply passionate about the game. There is nothing I love more than competing with my teammates and being a fan favorite. I want to apologize to the entire Braves organization, my teammates, and the fans. It is because of my deep love and respect for the game that I would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. I have been tested my entire career, including 8 times last season alone, and have never tested positive. I would never willingly take a banned substance, but I take full responsibility and accept MLB's decision. I'm devastated that I won't be on the field with my teammates for the next 80 games. I look forward to competing again at the highest level this season upon my return. And my thought is this, because, sometimes it happens, right? Like, obviously, like, we still have these issues in the PEDs, and, we've seen top talent have this. Tatis, was it just a couple of years ago, the same thing, right? Like, just sometimes you're taking something to help with an injury, to help with some pain, for personal reasons, like just for, I think, I can't remember off the top of my head what was the banned substance he was taking. I think it was something for fraternity reasons. Maybe he and his significant other were trying to have a child or something. And you start taking something to help out with that, and it turns out it's a banned substance. And, in this case, I think that's what the story is here. So whether it's willingly or not willingly is kind of like the debate in the gray area of like, maybe it was by accident. Maybe it didn't mean to, and that kind of stuff. It's tricky with Jurickson to kind of determine that, because his contract structure is very weird, because he's getting paid $12 million this year and then $15 the next 2 years. So I'm not sure why they wouldn't have just done it 14, 14, 14. Instead, he takes $1 million from this, or $2 million from this year, moves it 1 to each of the next 2 years. Maybe he knew it was coming, and he knew he was going to get caught this time around. Like, I don't know exactly what the story was here. What makes it difficult to be like, all is forgiven. For me, like, when it comes to PEDs, like, unless it's like extremely like, oh yeah, he definitely was cheating. Like, there's nothing this drug would do for any other reason in your life except to cheat in the game. my whole thing is, if you can go back to being the player you were. So, for example, with Tatis's situation, I know we haven't seen any crazy like Tatis numbers from before, but I mean, last year, 2024, he was an all-star, an 833 OPS, like solid stuff. Those first 3 seasons, 2019, 2020, and 2021, he was fantastic. Then, the injury in 2022, the PED suspension, he comes back in 2023, slow start, but he had 25 home runs still. Last year, 21 home runs. If he has a good season this year, which so far, I mean, it's not a bad one. He's got a 423 OPS. He's got 11 hits. He's got a home run already. So, like, Tatis is still kind of a player that I remember he was beforehand. Now, for Jurickson Profar, the player he was beforehand was a mediocre, like, batting around every so often. He gets some plate appearances, maybe make a couple nice hits, couple nice plays here and there. But last season is like, oh, this is his breakout. So when Atlanta signs him to a 3-year deal, you expect more of the same. And now it's like, okay, well, if he comes back from the suspension and he's not like he was last year just the outlier because he was cheating? Or, but if he comes back later in the year and he's still able to have, like, he comes back and he starts hitting home runs, he starts making nice hits, he's got his OPS above 800 again. If that's the case, then, maybe it was just a mistake. Like, I'm just, the fan who talks about baseball, and I'm sure people will have their own opinions on the guy. I don't know if he's going to be a hated guy in baseball now. I don't know if he's still going to be the fan favorite. He says in his statement, I love more than competing with my teammates and being a fan favorite. He knows that he's a likable guy and, was a likable guy. Like I said, who knows what he's going to be now, what his image and reputation is going to be. But yeah, it sucks, especially for Atlanta because they're going through it right now. And I mean, they're 0-7. And like, okay, Profar aside now, let's move on from Jurickson Profar and his whole thing. Let's talk about what's going on with Atlanta right now because it's really bad. Like, listen, hey, don't get me wrong. To start your season with Dodgers and Padres, nobody wishes that. Like, that's just unfortunate. And it sucks that they decided to just start popping off and being, 8-0 and 7-0. So is it really Atlanta's fault? I don't know. I said that they were going to be the division winners. I said that, or division winners. I said they were going to win the World Series, for crying out loud. So when I go through the Brave stats here and I'm looking at the team and I'm like, wow, Ozzy Albies is 5 for 27 and Matt Olson is 4 for 22 and Marcell Ozuna is 3 for 16 and Austin Riley is 3 for 27 and like the average, the best player is Nick Allen. You know why? Is because he hasn't played all 7 games. He's played 3 games. He's 4 for 11 and had the double and an RBI. His OPS is 819. After that, the next guy, Ozuna, who is 3 for 16. Batting average wise, Nick Allen's got a 364. Then you have Eli White, who is 1 for 4. So does that really count? Then you have Jurickson Profar, who got popped. And then Ozuna's at a 188. So there's no one batting above 200. So the offense is gone completely, is gone. There's no offense, and I mean, the pitching wise, it's not much better. Chris Sale had a rough outing. So 2 games in, he's 0-1, a 5.4 ERA. He's given up 6 runs already in 10 innings. I'm looking at these numbers here. I'm not seeing anyone that's like really exciting me off the gump here. Their best pitcher so far is Spencer Schwellenbach. His one start, he only allowed 1 hit in 6 innings, struck out 4. Hey, you know what? That's your best pitcher so far. You go to the bottom, Hector Neris, he got DFA'd and he got released, so who cares about him? Aaron Bummer so far in 1 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs. Grant Holmes in 2 games, one of which started. He's got a 7.2 ERA, 4 earned runs in 5 innings. Like, Chris Sale's the only one who's pitched more than 6 innings. Schwellenbach's at 6 innings, but no one else has pitched more than that. Of course, Sale's the only one who has 2 starts in the season so far, but I mean, like, I don't know what's scarier, the offense or the hitting. I think for me, it's the offense because when you have no one batting above 200, you don't have a guy going 1 for 4, and we're a week into the season already. Like, this is not ideal stuff for Atlanta right now. I'll tell you what is a bit of a saving grace is that they finally get to go home. They're not in San Diego anymore. They're not in LA. They go from the West Coast to the East Coast. They're home, and they get the Marlins. Now, listen, I know the Marlins are 4-3. They have 3 walk-offs. That's fine. But Miami's making their first trip on the road, so it's the first time away. The Braves' first time home. Realistically, the Marlins should be last in the division come the end of the season. So I think this is a great time for the Braves to get their first win. And realistically, hey, if they really want to get going, it's time to sweep the Braves really quickly right here. Sweep the Marlins right here, right now. Because no team has ever started the season 0-7 and then made the playoffs. The last time a team started 0-7 and were able to get just above 500, that happened at least 40 years ago. So the Braves have dug themselves quite the hole according to history. But I still think that if any team can dig themselves out of it, it is still Atlanta. But the turning point has to be right now. They need to get going and get going ASAP for any hope for 2020-25 here. So we got to see what Atlanta can cook. I want to touch upon the standings really quickly because I found this really interesting because obviously we'll have the playoff predictor a little bit later on. I was just looking at the standings one morning. The NL West. You add up those numbers in the loss column. The Rockies have 5 losses, Diamondbacks have 3, and Giants have 1. That's a total of 9 losses. The Dodgers, who are at the top of that division, have 8 wins. The Dodgers have 1 less win than that entire division have losses. Dodgers 8-0, Padres 7-0, Giants 5-1, Diamondbacks 4-3. All four of these teams are in the postseason if it started today. The NOS has 3 teams in the division. Padres in the 2nd seed and the 1st seed, the wild card. Giants in the 4th seed. Diamondbacks in the 5th seed. Super impressive start so far from the NL West. On the flip side, you have the AL Central, who right now, if you click on standings and if you check the MLB, has the White Sox in first place. 2-4, 2-4, 2-4, 2-4, 2-4. 2-5 because the Twins lost yesterday. They played an extra game. They started a 4-game series against Houston. But if the Twins didn't play yesterday, all 5 teams in the AL Central, 2-4. That is ridiculous to me. The only teams that are worse in the entire Central would be the Athletics, who are 2-5. But every team in the AL is better than the entire division. If you take Seattle, Houston, Boston, Baltimore, Tampa, New York, LA, to Blue Jays, Rangers, if you take any of them and put them in the Central, they're first. That's just how the Central is. I said it, 2 years ago, the AL mid-division. Last year, it was surprising. Guardians were great. Royals were great. Tigers were great. They had 3 playoff teams. I'm hoping for more of that. I'm hoping it's just the start of the season. I'm hoping one of, Cleveland will get going. Kansas City will get going. Like, someone's got to click and take off here. Because, let's get a good team here. Let's not go back to the AL mid. I don't want to be calling you guys that this season. If you want to take a look at more differences, the AL East, all 5 teams are positive in run differential. +1, +21, +12, all that. And the AL West, even though the Rangers are 5-2 and the Angels are 4-2 and they're just both great, -7, -9, -6, -11, -20. All 5 teams in the AL West have negative run differentials, while all 5 in the AL East have positive. It's just fun looking at the standings sometimes and just being like, wow, what the hell is going on here, and what's this all about? So I just wanted to mention that quickly. I thought it was fun. I want to touch upon the Reds really quickly here. I don't want to spend too much because we've got a lengthy stuff here, and I've got more to go through. But I want to touch upon the Reds' offensive woes here because they had a series against Texas here. They started 14 runs. Ellie had 4 for 5, 2 home runs. He was great. They scored 14 runs. Since that game, they lost Texas 1-0. They lost to Texas again 1-0. And now, a little spoiler for next episode on Monday, they started a 4-game series against the Brewers yesterday, and they lost 1-0. So that's now 28 scoreless innings in a row for the Reds. And it's the first time since 1960 that a team has lost 3 straight games with the same score of 1-0. The Reds pitchers are good still. Bradley Singer had a great game. Hunter Green had a great game. Like, the pitching has been solid. They're giving up 1 runs, or the bullpen is giving up 1 run. The issue is nobody else is doing anything. And I know it's just probably just a tough stretch. It's not going to last. 28 innings, someone's going to score. They have too much talent, I think. I think it's just unfortunate that like the guys like Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McLean, they're all just coming up and just not able to do something. But it is a little bit concerning. It's early in the season. If we're struggling like this after a game where you scored 14 runs, now 28 scoreless innings, it's a little bit of a cause for concern. So, nothing to push the panic button about, but they really have to lock in this series now against the Brewers and try to start scoring some runs here and getting some offense cooking, because that's what you need right now. So moving on here, just want to talk about some other news really quickly. Not sure if I mentioned this in the last episode or not, but the A's DFA'd Esteury Ruiz. This was a guy who, led the league in steals just a few years ago. Nothing great offensively, had his struggles, but he is fast. He had 67 stolen bases in 2023. So he got DFA'd. And lo and behold, it's the Dodgers who decided to trade for him. So Esteury Ruiz is with the Dodgers. I'm not sure if he's he's probably in the AAA system, but that's just some depth right there. And if anyone's going to fix his hitting, which is really the only problem that he has, it would be the Dodgers. So kind of a silly Oakland move to get rid of a guy who can steal 67, nearly 70 bags in a season. Last year, He didn't really get too many games. He got 29. At one point, they sent him down to AAA when he was their best hitter, and then he came back and was way worse. Like, I don't know what the A's are doing sometimes, but Esteury Ruiz, he's with the Dodgers, so that's something. The Pirates are sending David Bednar down to AAA. I mentioned this in the first episode here on Monday. He just struggled against Miami. And if you're struggling against Miami, you go back to last season. He was awful. It's been a while since we've seen David Bednar rate. So hopefully, a couple weeks maybe in AAA. I'm not sure how long it'll be, but he's down there right now hoping to figure it out, get some confidence back, and, get back to being David Bednar that was an all-star and, the guy for the Pirates for, one of the faces of the franchise, essentially, outside of Brian Reynolds, before like the O'Neill Cruz and the Paul Skeens now. But hopefully David Bednar can right his wrongs with a AAA stint. And then a special shout out to Lance Lynn, because he announced his retirement this week. How about it? What a career for Lance Lynn. A 2-time All-Star and a 2011 World Series winner. His All-Stars were in 2012 and 2021. He debuted that year in 2011 when he was a World Series champion. He started his first year in the big leagues. He was the World Series. Spent the first couple of years of his career with St. Louis. He then ended up in Minnesota, went to the Yankees in 1 year, had a couple years in Texas where he kind of figured himself out. In 2012, he was an all-star. Since then, solid guy, 3.97 ERA, 2.74, 3.03, and then, after he left St. Louis, his first year when he was with Minnesota for half the year, Yankees for the other half, he had a 4.77 ERA. So he ends up getting a 2-year deal with Texas. And in that year, finished with a 3.67 ERA and a 3.32 ERA when he was with Texas. Finished 5th in Cy Young voting in 2019 and 6th in 2020. Then he goes to the White Sox in 2021. He's an all-star, and he finishes 3rd in Cy Young voting. Top 3 for Lance Lynn. That's the highlight of his career that year. 28 starts at 2.69 ERA, an 11-6 record. Funny to think that just 4 years ago, the White Sox were a formidable team and had a top 3 Cy Young candidate in Lance Lynn on the White Sox, and were good. Then after that, he spent 2 more years with the White Sox before getting traded to the Dodgers, and then went back to St. Louis in 2024 to finish up his career. Had a solid career, or a solid year, 23 starts, a 3.84 ERA, was 7-4 for the Cardinals last year, but unfortunately wasn't able to find a deal. And now with the first week of the season being over, he's decided to call it a career at the age of 38. 13 years in the big leagues, 143 wins, 99 losses. Didn't get that triple-digit loss. He had 30.8 career WAR, a 3.74 ERA, played 364 games with 340 of them being starts. He also had one career save back in 2011. He started from the bullpen realistically that year. Pitched over 2,000 innings, like just over 2,000 innings, 2,006 innings, striking out 2,015 batters. So hats off to Lance Lynn. Enjoy the retirement. And that wraps up some of the other news from, the week here. So let's dive into the other stuff, get through these, and then we can head out and watch some baseball tonight. The injury updates. Freddie Freeman is on the 10-day IL from the Dodgers. He's got an ankle sprain. He had a shower mishap with one of his surgically repaired ankles, and he's on the 10-day IL. Nolan Gorman for the Cardinals, 10-day IL with a strained hamstring. Michael Soroka for the Nationals, 15-day IL for him with a strained bicep. Gleyber Torres on a 10-day IL with left oblique strain. Ronaldo Lopez and the Braves, 15-day IL with shoulder surgery. Not sure what that exactly is entitled. And then Colton Cowser lands on a 10-day IL with left thumb fracture. He's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. So not exciting there for Baltimore. They're going to have to figure out his replacement for a little bit, because they're going to be without Colton Cowser for at least a small amount here. Outstanding performances. We had quite the list of outstanding performances, if I'm being honest. I tried to remove some guys, but it was just so difficult. So here comes a Spitfire round right here. Let me know what you guys can make out. Shane Baz and the Rays, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. Paul Skeens, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 6 Ks. Zach Gallen, 6.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and a career-high 13 strikeouts for him. Garrett Crochet, 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 8 Ks. Martin Perez and the White Sox, how about it? 6 innings pitched, no hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 9 Ks. Casey Mize is kind of looking like the 1-1 they drafted a little bit. 5.2 innings pitched, only 1 hit, no runs, 3 walks, and 6 Ks. Jordan Hicks, 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. Logan Webb, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 6 Ks. So how about those Giant starters right there against Houston? Herman Marquez and the Rockies. The Rockies starting pitchings have looked good so far. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 4 Ks. Zach Wheeler, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 10 Ks. Brady Singer, 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 Ks in his Cincinnati debut. Nathan Eovaldi, the best start on the year so far, complete game shutout, 9 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 8 Ks. Hunter Green, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 8 Ks. Jack Leiter, so far looking good for Texas, 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, and 6 Ks. Chris Bubich, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. Freddie Peralta, 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 8 Ks. Cole Reagans, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts for him. Tyler Glasnow in his first start of the season, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 8 Ks. Dustin May, his first start since 2023, he was good. 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 Ks. Michael King, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts there. And then Dylan Cease, 6 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 7 Ks. Those were all of your outstanding performances. Some were shorter, but like just so many strikeouts, so I had to bring it up. It's time for our first rendition of the stat leaderboard here in 2025. Of course, expect this to change a lot here. So average, Wilyer Abreu for the Boston Red Sox leads in average so far, 4.71 for him. For hits, it's Kyle Tucker and the Cubs, 12 hits on the year so far. He leads the league. In home runs, it's a tie, Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks, and of course Aaron Judge from the Yankees. They both have 5 home runs already within the first week of the season. Runs, Aaron Judge and Ohtani tied. They both have 11 runs already. Of course, Dodgers played a couple extra games already. Walks, it is Marcell Ozuna, 13 walks on the year, which, hey, I know his average is below 200. At least he's walking. O'Neal Cruz and the Pirates leads in stolen bases, 6 stolen bases there. Pirates, I think, are leading the league in stolen bases. They are running up quite the storm so far early here. And then for OPS, of course, is Aaron Judge, 1.648 so far into the season. For pitching, it's a lot harder because there's a lot of ties here, but I'll do my best. For wins, there's 4 pitchers: Anthony Banda from the Dodgers, Jack Leiter from the Texas, Wandy Peralta from the Padres, and Justin Steele from the Cubs, all of which have 2 wins on the year. For ERA, it's a 12-way tie, but I'm going to say Antonio Senzatella technically leads it because he has the most innings pitched out of the guys who have 0.00 ERA. He has 9.2 innings pitched and has not given up a run, but it is a 12-way tie. Technically, I'm just not going into every single person's name. Strikeouts, it's a 3-way tie. Logan Gilbert, Mackenzie Gore, and Zach Wheeler. That's Seattle, Nationals, and Phillies, all of which have struck out 18 batters so far. And then for saves, it's a 5-way tie. Josh Hader, Jeff Hoffman, Luke Jackson, Andres Munoz, and Robert Suarez so far all have 3 saves on the year. Let's continue on here with the upcoming series this week. So we've got the Cardinals in Boston taking on the Red Sox. Oilers at Kansas City to take on the Royals, with Gunnar Henderson set to make his season debut coming off the IL. White Sox at Tigers, Astros at Twins, Guardians at Angels, Rays at Rangers, Dodgers at Phillies, D-backs at Nationals, Blue Jays at Mets for Soto's Mets debut at Citi Field, I'm pretty sure. They haven't been able to get a home game in yet. Marlins at Braves, Yankees at Pirates, Reds at Brewers, Padres at Cubs, A's at Rockies, and Mariners at Giants is how that is our series recap. Jesus, our upcoming series. And that brings us lastly to our first rendition of the playoff predictor. You might think it's early, and you're probably correct because it was very difficult because there's a lot of ties and everyone's close, but I just picked out the guys and picked out the teams that made the most sense and just deal with it, okay? Sorry for the other 3 AS Central teams because I picked the Guardians because they won last year, so whatever, I don't care. So, we have for the AL wildcard, Rays at Yankees, and Angels at Guardians, in which case the Yankees will beat the Rays and the Angels will beat the Guardians. So for the ALDS, we have Yankees at Rangers and Angels at Blue Jays. We've got the Blue Jays and the Rangers winning that. So our ALCS matchup right now is the Blue Jays at the Texas Rangers. How about it, Texas? You're heading to the World Series. On the NL side, the D-backs versus the Cardinals, and the Giants versus the Padres. Giants is the 5 seed, Padres is the 4, D-backs the 6, Cardinals the 3. D-backs beat the Cardinals, Padres beat the Giants. So we have D-backs at Phillies, and how about this? Padres at Dodgers, both undefeated. There's revenge in the air. I can smell it. Padres beat the Dodgers, and the Phillies beat the D-backs, which means we've got Padres and Phillies. Remember what I said about revenge in the air? Well, if you remember 2023, Phillies beat the Padres, not this time. Padres beat the Phillies. They move on to the World Series, which means our World Series matchup, if the season started today, or if the postseason started today, would be the Texas Rangers at the San Diego Padres. And how about those Padres? 7-0. They are your 2025 World Series champions if this season started today. A lengthy Friday episode. Not sure if that will be the formula going forward. Maybe not as much, but there was a lot of news to go through today. So I appreciate you guys always for sticking around for this episode here. Thank you already so much. And I will see you on Monday.